What is up, everybody? It's BassJalerin, and I'm here again with another video, and today we are actually doing a tag video, which is something I hardly ever do because Senpai never notices me. But anyway, I was tagged by a bizarre individual to do the 10 questions tag. I forget exactly who started the tag, but I will link them down below if you want to participate, because a part of this tag is that I have to tag a bunch of people, and I'm honestly jackass shit at tagging anybody. So honestly, if you want to do this tag, if you never get tagged in anything, if you feel left out all the time because all the popular manga tubers are all tagging each other and you never get a piece of the pie, now's your chance. You just got tagged. Anyway, we're just gonna get right on to these questions that I have on this sketchbook right below the camera, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. Anyway, so the first question is the best of the big three, and to those who are uninitiated, which I really doubt anybody isn't, that would be either Naruto, Bleach, or One Piece. And even though neither of the big three are in my collection, and even though we're pretty much more or less planning on buying Bleach sometime in the near future, because my husband is a huge Bleach fan and he just really wants Bleach, my favorite would have to be Naruto. I had a lot of Naruto back in the day, but I wound up selling my entire Naruto collection when I was really low on funds and I needed the money for school and such and rent, and it was just the dark times of manga collecting is when I had Naruto. But that's why it's not in my collection anymore. Maybe someday I'll possibly think about reintroducing it into the collection, but it just seems like a lot of work to try and collect two really huge shonen series. It doesn't seem like a very fun uphill battle to take, but Naruto was probably the one anime that really got me into anime. I was I was into anime in elementary school and in middle school. I forgot what the fuck the next step up from elementary school was. I'm a little tired. But I wasn't hardcore into that shit until I found Naruto, and then I went ahead and I introduced Naruto to my friends. I introduced Naruto to my future girlfriend, who got really into Naruto and Sasuke as a ship at the time, which was great, and we bonded the fuck over that. Naruto, it's not so much that it was my favorite series out of the big three, it's just that it had a larger part in my life. It helped me bond with my friends. We had a lot of fun memories. There are people outside my window talking and their dogs are barking. But yeah, this Naruto is just a big nostalgia trip for me. Everything about Naruto is just reminds me of the good times, and the good times are a good thing to reflect upon these days. Next up would have to be the best new shonen after 2015. I'm not, it's either I don't like shonen enough to have one that I really, really like, or I'm not good at identifying shonen, because shonen sort of, for me at least, it sort of blends into all the other genres. I can't tell if a genre is a shonen, or if it's a seinen, or if it's a shoujo that's just really, really fast-paced and action-y. I can't honestly tell myself what is and is not a shonen these days, but I'm not collecting a lot of modern shonen. I think the most modern shonen that I have in my collection right now that came out after 2015 are My Hero Academia, I think One Punch Man. I say that very, very tentatively, but my favorite, if I had to pick one, would probably, it's a toss-up between The Promised Neverland and Black Torch, which just came out actually last month. Black Torch, pretty good. Your mileage may vary though. Everybody on the manga Discord that I'm on really hates Black Torch, so okay. But I really like it. And I really like The Promised Neverland. The Promised Neverland is a very rare sort of like intellectual shonen where a lot of the battles are done via wits instead of fists, which is pretty cool. And also the main character is a girl, which is very cool to see in a shonen series. But yeah, just to be safe, I'm not showing you the covers because Shueisha is evil. Anyway, next question. Oldest volume of manga. And I'm taking this in terms of like old to be when it was released in America, not when it was released in Japan, because I don't do my research that deep. But I have two categories for this. One is the oldest manga in my collection in terms of when they were brought over here to the States, and the oldest volume of manga that I have in terms of how long it's been in my collection. So the ones that are probably the oldest in terms of like actual release dates would have to be I have volume 1 of Bao, which was released in 1995. It's classic, it's flipped, it's got all the trappings of something that was released way back in the day from Viz. It's back before they were actually like touting it as a manga and they were calling them graphic novels. And the second one would have to be, shortly, like a couple of years later, would have to be a Record of Lodoss War, which is published by, I think it was CPM, and this was published in 1999, which is also flipped. It also has a lot of, you know, just characteristics of really old manga. I don't collect a lot of really old manga. I'm not usually drawn towards a lot of really old manga, because a lot of really old manga, at least ones that you'd go after, are either really expensive or they're kind of shit. So, yeah, don't buy a lot of that. But those two are probably the oldest. And oldest in terms of how long it's been in my collection would probably have to be Tokyo Mew Mew. I bought this when I first entered middle school, when I was a wee little 12-year-old babby. She's got a lot of shelf wear, as you can see. A lot of damage, but this was probably my first, from what I remember, my first manga that I ever actually purchased with my own money. All those 12-year-old allowance money. Yeah, that's probably it. This was the start. This was the humble beginnings. Number 4 is newest volume of manga, and this is a little difficult considering I keep up to date with manga pretty closely. I really hate falling behind on shit. When I have to do it, it's because I absolutely have to, or else I will go absolutely in the red broke. But otherwise, I keep up to date pretty well with series that I'm currently collecting. I rarely fall behind very far, usually by 1 or 2 volumes. I honestly could not pick out for you the newest volume of manga that I have in my collection because I buy them so frequently that I couldn't be able to tell you what is the newest, because there's a lot of newests. Just maybe go back to like my last manga pickups video. That's where you'll see all the new shit, honestly, because I collect at such a high like veracity. It's just really hard to point out what's the newest manga. Number 5 would have to be favorite manga character. And this was another really hard question because, again, I collect so much manga. There's so many good characters in all the manga that I read, all the manga that I collect. I honestly, it took me a really long time to figure out like the answer to this question. And that would have to be Takeo Goda from My Love Story. He is just so fucking wonderful. I absolutely love him. He's great. He's just the perfect dude. Just absolute cinnamon roll. I love him. He's probably, if I had to pick one off the top of my head in like 30 seconds, it would probably have to be Takeo Goda from My Love Story. Next up would it be, who is your best waifu or husbando? And I'm bisexual, so I get to answer this question both ways, and I have a lot of waifus and husbandos. I'm not picky. I have a harem, I guess you could say, of imaginary manga people, but if you were to pull my arm and force me to pick only one dude and one girl, it would probably have to be, for dudes, it would have to be Bexel from Monster Hunter Flash Hunter, edgelord extraordinaire. I tend to gravitate towards those types. I'm starting to realize the edgy edgelords, and Bexel is probably the edgiest edgelord to ever edge, ever. And for waifus, no contest whatsoever. Absolutely 100% Marcial from Delicious in Dungeon. She is just... I love her so much. She's just absolutely perfect. Adorably quirky in the best of ways. Mature in the best of ways. I just love her so much. I just love Marcial so much. Absolutely 100%. Number 7 would be guilty pleasure manga, and I could be that person who'd be like, I don't feel guilty about anything I read, but then I remember I have literally porn in my collection, so probably would have to be the porno. Probably would have to be, Does the Strange Body Please You and or Metamorphosis and whatever other hentai that I said to buy in the future. Probably those. Probably couldn't take those out into public and read those, like, on a Sunday morning in the park. Probably not. Probably not. Not a good thing to take to work, not a good thing to take anywhere outside of my apartment. So, yeah, probably the actual literal porn. Number 8 is how do you organize your manga? And, oh shit. Whoops. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway, how do I organize my manga would probably have to be, it's technically organized alphabetically by title. But the more manga I collect, the harder it is to arrange manga alphabetically by title. Maybe you can see in the background I have manga stacked up horizontally to save on space, and those remain there forever, so they're not actually in alphabetical order because they kind of remain where they stay. I got manga kind of placed around randomly on this shelf over here that's out of frame that you can't see, that's not anywhere in any kind of order. It's just sat there in front of my other books because I have nowhere the fuck else to put them. It's harder and harder to have an actual, like, form of organization, at least with the limited space that I have. If I were to have an actual, like, large amount of space, maybe, like, an actual bookshelf that held more than, like, absolutely butt-fuck nothing, it would probably have to be organized alphabetically by title, because that's how bookstores do it, and that's just how I do it, just for familiarity's sake. Number 9 is what manga character would I call my hero? No fucking idea, dudes. I could honestly just say Takayo Goda again, because he's also, like, my fucking hero. But also, there's so many other manga characters, and I couldn't possibly be asked to pick one out of the whole bunch. Like, I'm looking around, and I can't even stand to think of who my hero would be, who I would model my life after. I honestly couldn't be able to tell you. I have a lot, just assume I have a lot, and I can't remember for the life of me who's probably number 1. Because there are so many. There's just too many, my friends. Sorry for the non-answer to that question, but that's really what it's come to at this point. And number 10, the last question, would be the last manga that I dropped, and I'm currently in the process of picking out stuff that I don't really want into my collection anymore. I go through these phases where I start to have, like, panic, and I start taking things, little, like, not like substantial amounts of things, but little things out of my collection. And I actually have it sitting here because I actually moved it like a couple of days ago. But it'd probably have to be Kaguya-sama Love is War. I had the first 3 volumes. It was okay, but I found I read volume 1, but I found myself just collecting volumes 2 and 3, and I'd never even opened them, and I realized that I was totally okay with the fact that I hadn't actually, like, gotten them and read them, and I think That's usually what does it for me, is when I'm buying a manga just to buy it, just to keep up with it, and not actually read it. That's the point when I drop it. That's the point when I say it's no longer good enough for my collection. And when things get dropped in my collection, they stay dropped. They're removed from the collection entirely, and they're sold off immediately before I even consider having second thoughts. The only other manga that had the privilege of not being immediately sold would have to be Hayate the Combat Butler, because I like Hayate the Combat Butler, but it got away from me so badly. Like, it's at volume like 30 something right now. I only got to volume 13. It's so overwhelming to think about the fact that I'm so far behind on it. I had to put it away. Maybe eventually, I'm planning on starting collecting it before it starts going like out of print and I start to cry a little inside. But other than that, things that are removed from my collection, once I drop them, stay dropped. So, yeah. Kaguya-sama Love is War joins the many manga that I have given up upon. And yeah, that's all 10 questions. Like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to do it, if you feel constantly excluded in these tag videos and you want to answer some questions about your manga, if you just want to be absolutely indulgent and talk about yourself for a while, go ahead and do this tag. Go for it. Love yourself. Answer these cues. Anyway, that's it for me. I'm planning on rolling out maybe a couple other videos this month. Definitely 100% gonna do that Yubasaki milk tea shit, because I hate that manga so much. I feel really bad that I haven't talked about how much I hate it. Anyway, so yeah, maybe expect that, maybe expect something else. We'll never know. This channel's a mystery. I'm a mystery. Anyway, that's it. I'll see you sexy motherfuckers in the next video, whenever that may be, and bye.